Tell me something. Have you ever looked around and wondered why the loudest voices lead the crowds, while the sharpest minds are left in silence? You've seen it, haven't you, in the workplace, where the talkers rise and the thinkers are forgotten. In relationships, where the ones who care deeply are left behind, while the ones who manipulate always seem to win. In this world, where appearances are power and truth is a burden. You try to do things the right way, you try to be thoughtful, careful, honest, but somehow you suffer. And here's the question that cuts deeper than the rest. Why do the intelligent, the aware, the visionary often live in pain, while the careless and cunning thrive? The answer is brutal. But a man named Niccolo Machiavelli told it centuries ago, not with comfort but with clarity. Machiavelli was not a saint. He didn't write The Prince to teach you how to be good. He wrote it to teach rulers how to survive. He wrote it in exile, in pain, stripped of power, punished for loyalty, betrayed by politics, and in that pain, he saw the world with terrifying precision. He saw that the game was never about truth, it was about control. A man who wants to make a profession of goodness in everything is bound to come to ruin among so many who are not good. That was his warning. Intelligent people suffer, not because they aren't wise, but because they refuse to be wolves in a world ruled by them. They suffer because they speak the truth in a world where lies are rewarded. They think deeply in a time that only rewards speed. They act with heart in a culture that rewards the mask. They suffer because they've been taught that merit wins. But Machiavelli says that's a lie. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. And in that sentence, he dismantles the illusion. Let me tell you a story. There was once a man named Girolamo Savonarola, a preacher in Florence. He was brilliant, charismatic, fearless. He spoke out against corruption. He inspired the people to purify their city, to reject greed, luxury, and vice, but he believed too much in virtue and not enough in power. He forgot Machiavelli's first rule: appear good, be ruthless when necessary. Savonarola was too honest, too visible, too loud with the truth. He was arrested, tortured, and burned alive in the center of the city he tried to save, and Machiavelli watched it happen. He saw what happens to idealists. He saw what happens to the intelligent who refuse to play the game. Look around today. Do you not see modern-day Savonarolas? Men and women with vision, integrity, and insight, but no position, no platform, no power. You see them in startups that never launch, in artists who create alone, in thinkers who die with their books unread. Because the truth is, being right means nothing if no one hears you. And no one hears you if you don't understand what Machiavelli knew. The world is not led by the wise. It is ruled by those who master perception. It is better to be feared than loved if one cannot be both. You hear that line and think it's harsh, maybe even evil. But Machiavelli wasn't telling you what should be. He was telling you what is. He knew that love is fragile, conditional. It breaks when it's no longer convenient. But fear endures. That's why the intelligent, who seek love, who want understanding, often end up betrayed, abandoned, replaced. The cunning, they inspire fear. They command, because they do not hesitate. They do not overthink. They do not beg for fairness. They strike. And perhaps that's what hurts most, that you've been taught to be measured, to wait your turn, to explain yourself, to soften your edges. But while you're waiting, someone else is taking. While you're doubting, someone else is claiming. Machiavelli saw this with chilling clarity. Fortune is a woman, and if you wish to keep her down, you must beat her and knock her about. Brutal? Yes, but not about violence. It's about decisiveness. Machiavelli believed fortune favored the impulsive, the daring, the bold, not the intelligent who hesitate. She is always the friend of the young, he said, because they are less cautious, fiercer, and command her with more audacity. And so we return to the intelligent man, the man who sees too much but acts too little, the man who hopes truth will be enough, the man who bleeds in silence while fools dance in crowns. He doesn't understand why the world keeps rejecting him, but Machiavelli does. Because the intelligent suffer when they value essence over appearance. They suffer when they speak honestly in rooms full of performers. They suffer when they cling to principle while the world rewards flexibility. They suffer because they forget this. One looks at the outcome. The world doesn't care how sincere you were. It doesn't care how hard you tried. It doesn't care what you meant. It only remembers what you delivered. This is why Machiavelli doesn't encourage you to be evil. He encourages you to be dangerous, to be strategic, to master your nature, not let it master you. He says, a prince must learn how not to be good, not because evil is better, but because goodness without power is irrelevant. Think of the world we live in now. Social media favors the fake over the wise. Politics rewards those who manipulate, not those who understand. Corporations rise on branding, not brilliance. And yet, the intelligent still wait, still hope, still believe. But Machiavelli shakes them awake. He says, the world will not recognize your depth unless you learn to wear the mask. That mask is not betrayal. It is survival. Because if you do not play the game, you become the game. If you do not move the pieces, you become one. There is no justice in this, only clarity. You were born with a mind that sees through illusion, but if you refuse to engage with illusion, the world will blindfold you and break you. So here's the hard truth, the truth you came for. Intelligence, by itself, is not enough. If you do not learn to deceive, to appear, to strike, to command respect, then your intelligence becomes a curse. But if you take what Machiavelli offers, if you learn to navigate darkness without being consumed by it, if you learn to wield perception like a sword and fear like a shadow, then you will not only survive, you will lead. And maybe then, they will call you cunning. They will call you dangerous. They will say you sold your soul. But they will never call you a fool again. So to every intelligent soul out there, every deep mind walking through a shallow world, Machiavelli does not pity you. He gives you a mirror. And in that mirror he asks, will you keep suffering in silence, or will you finally become what the world fears? A man who thinks and acts. The world will not save you, but knowledge, applied with will, just might. Choose power or live in pain. Be feared or be forgotten. The choice is yours.